Hey guys, what is going on? Lee Sanders here. You are checking out an all new The RCWR show coming at you for Wednesday night of November 27th, 2019. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Gobble, 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 y'all. What is going on? Hope you guys are ready for the Thanksgiving holiday. And if you're still in the process of traveling right now, I do hope you guys are taking it easy on the roads. Remember, patience is virtue. That's the number one thing above all else, and safety. It's a tie for both of those, patience and safety. Well, hope you're able to get to your destination safely this Thanksgiving holiday season. All right, so NXT, just a couple of minutes removed. We are fresh off of that airing, and we are fresh off of an all new NXT airing as well. Looking forward to talking about all of this goodness that we had. God, man, I gotta give wrestling this week credit, even though it is Thanksgiving week. WWE, AEW, hell, I even gotta throw Impact Wrestling in there. All of these guys did some really phenomenal content this week. They really did their best to shake it up. And look, I don't want to put any spoilers out there for you guys, because I know primarily we like to talk about AEW and NXT. But with regards to Impact Wrestling, if you guys did not watch this week's Impact, I would highly encourage you to go out of your way and actually check it out. It was one hell of a retro episode. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect, but if I were to describe it, the best way I could describe it is like they did a really weird kind of WWE inspired version, whatever that promotion WWE was doing off and on the past couple of years. It was like a retro promotion, and everybody had these alter egos or whatever. I know there's like a couple of episodes on the WWE network. The name escapes me right now, but it was like a combination of that meets freaking NWA Power, like meets AWA. I mean, they did the most coolest freaking thing this past Tuesday that just had me go, oh yeah, I like this. I mean, it's back to business as usual coming up on next week's show and everything for everybody, but particularly for Impact. But I definitely would encourage you guys, for those of you that maybe haven't checked out the Impact Wrestling product in a while, go out of your way, check it out. I'm not going to talk about it on this episode. I want you guys to go out of your way, check it out, and I will gladly kind of follow up on it next week. But for now, I just want to home in on that talk of AEW and NXT. So look, this week's AEW Dynamite was all about Chris Jericho having a little bit of the bubbly and celebrating and everything that is, to quote the U2 song, magnificent. Look that song up. Great song. But yeah, Jericho is just marveling in everything that is the awesome sauce of he. Since the TNT executives in AEW have not been giving him his props as far as all of the great success that's been coming AEW's way, with him being part of the company and now him being the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, him throwing this whole celebration. Now, you know, if you ask me straight up, I did kind of think it was a little bit premature that Chris Jericho was having this celebration to start Dynamite tonight, because it's, well, wait a minute. You got a main event match later on in the night, man. You got some serious freaking bravado. So you're just looking past your opponent in Scorpio Sky, huh? You're that freaking confident, right? Like, shouldn't you have the celebration after the fact, right? Now, that's not me nitpicking in any type of way. I just love the fact that as far as the Jericho character goes, here's this guy that has so much freaking bravado, the tenacity, right? The balls that he's looking past. He's like thinking that little of his opponent as he's kicking off Dynamite with this whole celebration and everything. I enjoyed that. It was also nice seeing my man Virgil up in there. Virgil, this was like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this was his official first in-ring debut for AEW Dynamite. I know we had saw him in the little video package and everything, but this was his in-ring debut, so to speak, since he did that infamous Olive Garden line on Jericho and everything. So he pretty much was the maestro of the festivities, welcoming the fans, setting everything up for Jericho and everything. And, I gotta tell you, that was a hilarious opening segment. I loved it. I was kind of feeling it just a little bit impatient though, because I kind of felt like it was dragging on just a little tiny bit, because at this point, and I switched it up this week. I actually, because I have Verizon Fios, I actually had recorded NXT, and I had NXT streaming on my tablet, so I could just basically hop on my tablet and check out the Verizon Fios app, look at NXT that way while tablet's on my lap, and then I'm looking at the TV and I've got AEW Dynamite on. So for me, I'm looking here and I'm seeing this opener for AEW going, okay, it's a little bit drawn out here. Meanwhile, you kind of, and I'm not going to keep flip-flopping like that. I don't want to kind of lose track of you guys. But for me, the first couple of minutes of that opening segment for both respective shows, for me, is the most critical. Because for me, that kind of really sets the tone as far as, okay, where are you mainly going to try to give a majority of your attention to, right? Because usually you can kind of tell as far as the tone goes of the opener for both shows there, right? But then when you flip on over to NXT, they respectfully have their own talking segment. So for me, it was a bit of a stalemate for both openers of the shows tonight. But if I were to give the slight edge, I've got to go more with Jericho, because you're going, well, look, anybody would be a fool to bet against Jericho. Jericho just having a microphone and he's just being able to go out there and be carefree. You're going to get some pretty memorable moments here. Yeah, it's going to drag out a little tiny bit, but there are going to be a couple of moments you're going to be able to take away from it. And that's what we had got with the AEW Dynamite opener. I love seeing Sammy G come out there. Also, what are the names of Santino and Ortiz? Proud and Beautiful, Power and Glory, whatever the hell. I still like the name of the Illegals, but whatever, teach its own. But they all bags Jericho with some really cool, awesome gifts. I liked when Ortiz and Santana presented like this Mexican basket, if you will, to Jericho. And there was basically a red, white, and blue little bandana in there, a Mexican bandana, whatever you want to call it, right? They also gave him some flip-flops, like, okay. They also gave him a 40, and boy, did that trend like a mofo, a little bit of the 40, right? Speaking of which, and I wasn't even aware of this, and Jericho had brought this about during his promo, but he had talked about a little bit of the bubbly.com. And so you're going, damn, if somebody was a smart son of a bitch, if they haven't already done it already, they would fucking go for the copyright and the trademark for that website, go buy the damn domain. And man, if AEW and or Jericho were to try to, okay, you want the domain? Okay, sure, no problem. I'll give it to you. You give me $1,000 or give me, I wish I would have thought of that motherfucker, because I could have went to my girl probably earlier this week and said, hey, honey, thanks to a little bit of the bubbly, our entire wedding and honeymoon is paid off for, right? But I hear him say that, and I'm going, man, if somebody was a smart son of a bitch, they buy the domain already, and I get the copyright and all that. Well, not necessarily the copyright. I think the copyright has already been taken care of, but more so the domain, right? The website domain. So I actually immediately, as soon as he said that, out of curiosity, I typed it in. I typed in littlebitofbubbly.com, and that pulled up nothing. I'm like, okay, so that is a invalid URL. Well, what about a little bit of the bubbly? What about that instead of a little bit of bubbly? Let's try a little bit of the bubbly. Type that in and boom, you land on Chris Jericho, and he's got 2 freaking wine bottles going for like under $50. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I believe it's pre-order right now. It's not supposed to be shipped out until I want to say the first week in December or the second week in December. I could have sworn I saw something like December 5th is when it's going to start shipping out. But 2 little bit of the bubbly Jericho bottles for under $50. I mean, yeah, sign me up. And hey, y'all saw the stream Monday. I was actually kicking back, having a little bit of the bubbly myself. So I wouldn't mind tasting that refreshing. I'm assuming it's a refreshing wine. I wouldn't mind trying that out and reviewing it for you guys. There's also another wine I want to try out as well with my birthday coming up and all. And that is Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. They had hooked up and they've got this really cool wine, and the bottle, the packaging, all that is freaking badass. If you guys were ever fans of those guys and Breaking Bad and everything, you definitely need to go out of your way and you need to look that up. Now, I think theirs is a little bit expensive. It's a little bit pricier than what's going on with the whole Jericho, and my phone is blowing up like a mofo. I don't know what the hell's going on right here. But yeah, like, let me put this on silent. There's no other thing I hate in the world than when your phone just keeps blowing up. Message. Stop it. Anyway, yeah, look that up when you guys get a chance. If you were fans of Breaking Bad and all that. I think their wine is about $60. And you can get cool engraving and all that other stuff. And I mean, look, my advice to Jericho and AEW, most fans, I mean, that's great you're making these bottles be available, but nowadays, most fans kind of that are wine collectors and all that, they want to have that engravement. That seems to be the cool thing I see among people. They want the engravement, whether it's on the bottle or the box that the bottle is in. You get where I'm coming from, guys. They want to have something that really feels commemorative. Now, some of you may say, well, damn, Lee, the Jericho wine bottle, it's already commemorative, because if you look at the design, you can see everything that's going on with it. But now you'd be surprised. Some fans want a little bit more than just, okay, a label and Jericho on it. They want a little bit more than that. So hopefully they'll kind of entertain that idea. Maybe they will. Maybe it just depends on how well the sales go and everything. But we see Justin Roberts in there. He has his moment in the sun since he grew up in the Chicago area and everything. Jericho bringing out his dad. That was a hilarious spot right there. The dad, as we all know, used to be a famous Canadian hockey player. Bashed the hell out of the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Oh my God, he had a field day with them. Chicago was not loving them. And you know, one interesting question with regards to that Chicago crowd tonight is, and I see that there were a couple of people that were there for WWE weekend, right? And I can't help but wonder, okay, so this AEW crowd tonight, how much of them, although, again, familiar faces from TakeOver, Survivor Series, Raw, SmackDown, and all that, some familiar faces, including the Brock Lesnar guy, he was there in attendance. But you can't help but wonder, out of 100%, how much of those fans were already out there in the Chicago area for the WWE events versus these are fans that just strictly said, nah, WWE, I'm going to pass. I'm coming for the AEW show instead, right? So I can't help but kind of wonder that. But great energetic Chicago crowd tonight. I definitely would have to say, love that Chicago crowd, man. That whole Jericho opening segment, love that tremendously. Seeing them beat the crap out of Justin Roberts. Kudos to Justin Roberts for even agreeing to be in that type of a spot. I don't recall ever during his tenure in WWE being in a position like that where he was physically being assaulted. And if it did happen in WWE, it's been a good minute. Like, I got to dust off the cobwebs in my mind there. SCU coming in for the rescue, though, and nice little prelude of things to come with the main event match and everything like that. We're kind of going a little bit back and forth, a little bit sporadic, but we might as well jump into that main event match. Main event match, Chris Jericho taking on Scorpio Sky for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It was actually a damn good match. I mean, look, can we be honest? We all knew that there was just no way possible that Scorpio Sky was going to come out of there tonight as the new AEW World Champion. I mean, stranger and cooler things have happened in the world of pro wrestling from some of your favorite promotions and all, but the odds of that happening was just, like I said last week, for me, going into this match and really doubling down on it, what I was really most anticipating the most from this match Scorpio Sky was going to have against Jericho was, okay, your two styles will definitely mesh well together, but will we really see a Scorpio Sky rise to the occasion and make the argument that in the near future, this should be a man that should be considered in the main event scene? And with his performance tonight, yes. With his performance tonight against the in-ring veteran and Chris Jericho, yes, I feel that at a later date. Look, he's got a great look. He's got a great freaking look. I love it tremendously, right? And I got Austin in the chat saying the debut of Nexus, they beat up Roberts. Look, you guys are the veteran, because I got no shame in my game. My memory is not as sharp as I used to be. And even though I'm still a relatively young man, my mind is, I'm lucky if I can remember something from last year, right? In order for me to really, I would have to do the research beforehand, right? And that's the one thing that I like about this show. Anything that I'm talking about, it's not rehearsed, right? Now, it's one thing if I want to maybe do some research on something and I want to bring up some very valid points. Like when we were talking about the whole Kelly Klein situation, I made sure I took my bullet points of important notes that caught my interest and everything. But some people, they like to have their show scripted. I've never believed in that since 2011. I've never believed in doing a scripted show. Whatever comes to mind, it's not rehearsed. I'm just throwing it all out there, and how it sticks is how it sticks. But if that's what happened with Nexus when they debuted, according to Austin, then that's what happened. If anybody disagrees with Austy's memory, you guys can challenge Austin in the comment section here that's checking out the webcast version right now. Shout out to those of you, though, that's going to be checking out the audio version on demand and on the downloads. But yeah, that was a good match that Scorpio Sky had against Chris Jericho. I loved it. And look, I've always been a fan of Scorpio Sky. To my dismay, though, if I even want to go with that word, but my disappointment, rather, I really didn't get a chance to check out a big bulk of his work in the previous years. I've only seen a fraction of his stuff. Like, out of 100%, I've probably only seen maybe about, I would say, roughly almost 50% of his stuff from over the years. So I know enough about the man to go, oh yeah, he's on the card, he's wrestling who? Oh yeah, he's freaking good. Okay, awesome, right? And we get another comment here talking about the whole Justin Roberts. I love the fact that you guys are talking about the Justin Roberts thing. You guys just have at it. I'm moving on with the show because we still got a lot of other stuff to talk about. But I do appreciate you guys leaving the feedback. I do. I greatly appreciate it. But let's keep it moving along because I want this show to be as short as possible because I want you guys to go out there and enjoy your Thanksgiving and all that. And I'll give you guys some programming notes right before we get ready to wrap up the show and everything. All right, so yeah, great main event match. Jericho winning via submission, right? Walls of Jericho, basically. Inner Circle having a little bit of interference in there, kind of helping out. A little bit of a... Was Jake Hager even in there? I can't even recall if Jake Hager had made a cameo in there. But with regards to Jake Hager, Jack Swagger, there is one thing I want to hone in on. When they did that whole celebration opening, I really did not like seeing him come out there with the GOAT that they had named Chris Jericho, or whatever the hell that they named the GOAT. They named it after Jericho, though. I know Hager enjoyed that moment because you could see that he was like legitimately having fun and everything. But what I didn't like was that since we've seen Hager appear in AEW, he's had this serious demeanor to him. And when you've looked up what he's been able to do in the MMA world and everything, and just everything that he's accomplished and all that, seeing him in AEW, he just added this really interesting mystique, right? Which was, I can't quite put my finger on this guy. He's a tall son of a bitch, big as hell, menacing looking as hell. He looks like he could be unhinged at any minute. And if you're not paying attention, he could snap, right? And I didn't really trip so much last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever the episode was, when he kept saying sorry. I saw a lot of people that were being a little bit critical on that moment. I was able to let that slide because he was just saying one word, and I didn't really care about that. It really didn't hurt him in my eyes. But to see him this week out there with the GOAT and everything, I that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It was kind of taking a little bit of his mystique away for me. It was taking away his seriousness a little bit. So, other than that, though, overall, I'm still enjoying how Hager has been utilized to a certain degree. But I hope that as far as more slapstick comedy moments go involving Hager, I hope we don't kind of get to that point. Because honestly, I was expecting, when Jericho kept asking where Hager was, I was expecting for them to say, Hager doesn't want to come out. He has a special gift for you, but he doesn't want to bring it out here. He wants for somebody else to bring it out here. I was kind of maybe anticipating something like that, or, Hager, he got lost parking the car. He's still trying to find a parking space for us. And remember, he's doing the reservations for us later on at that club. And Jericho's like, oh, yeah, or whatever. I would have preferred it if they did something like that. And then once the spot went down with Justin Roberts, SCU comes in there and they're cleaning house and everything. Then just in the nick of time, you have Hager come in there, clean house and everything. For me, that would have made a little bit more sense, but I'll still be a bit optimistic, but I've got one eyebrow raised now as I'm looking at how they're continuing to utilize Jack Hager there. Other than the main event match, just trying to go back one last time as far as any additional notes I want to say with regards to that main event match. Your closer, by the way, Jericho, after he did what he did to pretty much SCU and everything, SCU, they did continue to get a beat down, because I remember Kazarian, Daniels, they were out there. They did fight members of the Inner Circle and all that. After Jericho comes out of there victorious, you hear the music of Jon Moxley. Earlier in the night, Moxley was cutting a bit of a promo there. And basically, it was the whole, and nobody's safe, yada, yada, yada. You guys are smart. You pretty much know what that was all about. Just the bullet points I'm giving you. Y'all can pretty much paint the picture yourselves. So, Moxley teasing at the idea of fighting Chris Jericho for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And I mean, look, we kind of knew that eventually something like this was going to happen. We knew that it was just going to be a matter of time before Moxley and Jericho had collided. And man, look, I'm down with that. I got no problem with that whatsoever. I want to see that as soon as humanly possible. I don't know if that's maybe going to be a case where they're going to make that match happen, their next pay-per-view event coming up in January, if I'm not mistaken. Or, yeah, because they're doing something, Bash at the Beach, as a matter of fact, because we were going to kind of talk about AEW news later on, but Bash at the Beach, because Cody Rhodes, he's applied for several trademarks and everything, and he's meeting a little bit of red tape. But yeah, it looks like the way that they're doing this, it's going to be happening January 15th out in Miami, Florida. It's going to happen as an episode of Dynamite on TNT. And then it's going to continue with Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling at Sea, Part 2, with matches from the cruise airing on the January 22nd episode of Dynamite. The events will continue until January 24th. So how cool is that, right? That they're going to be utilizing Jericho's cruise and all that to be doing this AEW Bash at the Beach. So it's nice to know that that's not going to be a pay-per-view event and everything. You know, we were going to talk a bit more about this later on, but since it is AEW related, look, I'll say this off the break for those of you that may be wondering, Lee, yeah, with the recent reports that Cody Rhodes and them are trying to get trademarks for classic WCW pay-per-view names and all that. What's your 2 cents from a distance with regards to that? And my 2 cents from a distance is, look, I know everybody was making fun of Full Gear. Like, what the fuck? Like, who's been playing a lot of Metal Gear Solid and just, let's call it Full Gear, right? All In, I don't mind that. I don't mind it. You know, it's like, hey, you know, go all in, go all balls out, right? I don't mind that name. I'm fine with that. Double or Nothing, that is a fantastic freaking name. Got no problem with that either. But look, I think now more than ever, if anything, you should be learning about what was successful in the past, what were failures in the past, and use those to the best of your ability to shape a better path for the future, right? And so for me personally, I don't really think they should keep going back to these other names. I get it from a marketing standpoint. I get it. Because see, here's the other thing. When you're going for these copyright trademarks for these vintage WCW names and all that, okay, it's obvious with those names you're trying to target a certain demographic. You are trying to target those people that are basically around my age that now have children of our own, and you know our kids are probably 10 and up at least at minimum, right? For people our age that grew up during the Monday Night War era, right? And to a certain degree, you're kind of coming after our parents as well. Right? Given how young our parents were when they had this, to a certain degree, you're also kind of getting our parents, but you're definitely getting our age demographics for sure. So I get the marketing strategy, and I know a thing or two about marketing because I work in marketing. I work in market research. So there is that one part of me that can appreciate what they're trying to do and everything. But the last narrative you want to put out there is, okay, we're just going to go back and we're just going to pluck all of these names from the past. And the last thing you want to do is create a impression where, oh, you're just really WCW light. You're just WCW 2.0, right? You're just a lot better in some regards. That's the last thing you want to do. If you want to pluck 2, maybe 3, okay, cool. But go back to the drawing board. Come up with your own unique names. It's not like you're doing a pay-per-view every month. You've got plenty of time to sit down. You're telling me that between Cody Rhodes, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, Diamond Dallas Page, Double A, Arn Anderson, right? BJ Whitmer, maybe making a phone call to Jake Roberts, right? Hooking up with Tony Schiavone. You're telling me with all of those people, and I know I'm leaving some other key names out, but just home in on just those names alone. You're telling me you guys can't kick back, have a couple of rounds of beer, and okay, let's go at it, man. Just shoot the shit and just come up with some really cool names? I mean, hell, if you want to make things even more interesting, right? Here's an idea. If you're having that much of a hard time coming up with a name, fucking load up WWE 2K. Yeah, I know the game is bad right now because of, but who said you had to load up that particular game? You could load up a previous game. My point is, you can easily just go load up a game, look at some of these pay-per-views that people have created in their story arcs or whatever like that, right? Go visit little forums, all that other stuff, and or do a contest where you say, hey, whoever is able to come up with a really cool name for a future AEW pay-per-view, you're going to get front row tickets to that event that you basically helped name for us. You are going to get a $500 gift card that you'll be able to use to buy merch at the Pro Wrestling Tees store. You don't have to just spend it all on AEW merch. You can spend it all on whatever merch you want to buy at the Pro Wrestling Tees store, right? Brought to you in part by AEW, brought to you in part by Pro Wrestling Tees, right? You can easily do it like that. You could also say, hey, your hotel expenses, all that's going to be covered. You and a guest, or, you know, if it's your family, then you and your family will be able to have the front row seats to this event, right? I mean, you can do so many cool opportunities where if you're having that much of a hard time coming up with a name for AEW pay-per-view, you could do it to that point where you can reach out to your fans. Think about it. Over the years, how many times have we seen artists, musicians that, hey, I need a name. I remember Robert Plant. I love Robert Plant. I love all things Robert Plant. He's one of my absolute favorite singers of all time. Love his solo stuff. I got all of his stuff. Anything Led Zeppelin, anything solo, I have it all. Saw him in concert. Loved the man tremendously. When he had dropped, I want to say it was Lullaby in the Ceaseless Roar. Look that album up. It's a phenomenal album. When he had dropped that, he had needed help making a music video. So what they ended up doing was they reached out to the fans and they basically were saying to them, if you can come up with a really cool music video, show us your designs. This is your opportunity. You creative people out there, we're challenging you. And basically the winner had got some type of a cash prize, and their video was dubbed the official music video for, I want to say the song off of that album was Rainbow. Look that up. Lullaby in the Ceaseless Roar by Robert Plant, Rainbow. That video, visually, it's very impressive, and that's ultimately what Robert Plant and his band had chose as the official music video for that single Rainbow. So it's very easy to market to the fans if you're having that much of a hard time coming up with a name. I personally feel, but I guarantee you that any veteran wrestling fan that grew up during the Monday Night War, that want for AEW to succeed without a shadow of doubt, they'll say to you, nah, don't keep going to the well with the WCW stuff. If you maybe want to borrow 2-3 max, that's fine, but try to carve out your own identity. Don't keep freaking trademarking copyrights left and right. Okay, I wasn't going to talk about that until much later on in the show, but since it kind of fit into the realm of what we're talking about now, it kind of made a lot of sense to go ahead and go there. Some other moments from tonight's AEW. By the way, we did see a new update from the women's ranking system as far as who is currently on top right now. Give me a second here. I can actually pull this up because I made sure I took a screenshot of it for you guys here. All right, so you have SHEA with an overall record of 4-1. Britt Baker is now 3-2. Sakura is 1-1. Nyla Rose is 2-3, and Allie is 1-2. And for those of you that's a little bit curious about, well, wait a minute, what's up with the overall? The overall is, let me see here. Sakura 2-3, Nyla Rose 3-3, Allie 3-2, and Britt Baker. Am I reading this right? Britt Baker, I think they made an error with hers because it looks like it reads either 0-3 or 6-3. So I'll let you take that how you want to take that. But it looks like the overall reads, it looks like it's 6-3. It's a little blurry, the graphic that they had used when they were showing her specific number. Everybody else's number is good, but Britt Baker, and I mean, it kind of seems like 6-3 makes more sense, right? Kind of seems like that makes a little bit more sense. But anyway, so that's the current AEW rankings. Some other notes. They had a new commentator that had joined Excalibur and JR. There was no Tony Schiavone on this episode. He wasn't on this episode tonight because, he's doing his thing, doing color commentating for baseball and all that as well, right? For, can't remember the name of the team right now. So he's basically on assignment and everything. So in his place, and thank God he was only there for one match. I'm talking about Marco Martinez. He is the All Elite Fleet announcer that was presented to us by State Farm. Boy, I tell you, when you want to make an impression, first impressions mean the entire world. They mean the entire world. They determine your longevity, right? And I don't need to go on and on and on about this, okay? This is the point that I'm making here. Go check this out. If you didn't watch tonight's AEW Dynamite, you got to see this. And for those that did see this, you know exactly what I'm talking about with this young man. So the match that he called was the first match of the night, which was Best Friends. They were supposed to take on the Lucha Brothers, but they got attacked from behind by the Lucha Brothers. Orange Cassidy was so cool, dressed up as a turkey. He made it look so cool, man. Shades and all that, just flapping away. Made it look pretty cool. I tuned out of that match, just the silliness that was going on. I actually changed the channel. And main reason why I changed the channel for that matchup really had to do with Marco Martinez. Nothing personal. I'm all about giving people opportunities. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Hispanic. I don't care if you're Chinese. I don't care if you're a male. I don't care if you're a female. I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care if you have no gender identity. What I care about the most is when you get in front of that microphone, when you are at that commentating booth, if you are at that position, I'm expecting you to a certain degree to deliver in such a way where I can say, well, a little rough around the edges, but a lot of great potential. Needs a couple of more sittings there, but yeah, they're off to a good start. I like them. I couldn't say that for Marco Martinez tonight. Marco Martinez, from the minute that he was properly introduced, he's chewing gum. Or whatever the hell he was chewing something. It was very edible because he's just chewing, and then when he finally talks, he's going, I'm happy to be here. And you're like, huh? Come again? I mean, I know I'm getting old, but what'd you say, Sonny? All right, and then you go right to the commentary, and I'm like, okay, he's a little nervous. No problem, he's a little nervous. It's okay. You got Jim Ross and you've got Excalibur. They're trying to feed him some lines. They're trying to get him in there and everything, trying to give him his opportunity. And big kudos to them, because this could have been a case where it's, by God, son, just kick on back there. This is the easiest money you made. Just let us do all the work, right? But they didn't do that. They kept trying to get him in there. And he's just, oh, yeah, that's really great. It's really great opportunity there, great match. And you're like, whoa, what's going on with this dude? Is this dude okay? Like, you got Excalibur, energetic, and just... You got JR, energetic, and, he's got more pep in his step. You take a commercial break, and you're going, okay, well, maybe this is going to kind of be rectified while we're on a commercial break, right? The action continues, but it's split screen, basically, right? You come on back, and Marco Martinez is still mumbling, right? And for me, it was just, wait a minute. He is supposed to be some type of an announcer? What? Announcer or what? Announcer or color commentator? Like, y'all losing me here. Now, if he's doing Justin Roberts, if he's that kind of an announcer, okay, well, anybody should be able to do that without any problems. But if you're telling me, no, he's an all elite fleet commentator. I didn't see that tonight. I saw nothing that was commentator factory tonight. So much so, I put out a tweet and I had said, look, that other guy, Alex Marvez, 5 times better than this Marco Martinez guy. I don't like saying that, but I even tweeted to Cody and them. I said, look, you got to pull this guy, give him some advice, tell him to put more energy, put more pep in his step. Glad that he was only there for that one match, because that would have been very difficult to go through for the rest of the night, hearing him and not even able to hear what the hell he's saying. When I'm watching all of these shows, I've got my volume up. This was the one time I decided, let me go with closed captioning because I don't understand what the hell this guy is saying. And I don't know how it was for some people, but for my respective cable satellite provider, it was basically inaudible. Every time he opened his mouth, I kept getting inaudible. I'm like, oh, come on, seriously? I rewinded it back. I was able to see what JR said. I was able to read what Excalibur was saying. When it came to Marco Martinez, it was inaudible. And it would say, Marco, ... inaudible. So, yeah, not good, not good. B. Presley and Sakura, they defeated Cheetah and Chris Statlander. Pretty good matchup. Pretty good matchup right here. The one thing that I really need for AEW to work on more, I need them to work more on rivalries. They're doing okay so far with what they've been doing the past couple of weeks with SCU, Jericho, the Inner Circle. They've done okay there. But, I've talked about this off and on already, man. The baby faces, heels, establishing them greatly, and then story arcs. These story arcs are very important. You can't just have random people fighting each other just for the hell of it without there being some type of a reason why this is coming about. And when you have a show like AEW Dark, or you've got Being the Elite and all that other stuff, I feel that these would serve as better platforms to be able to bridge the gap for why we're seeing certain matches come about with certain people. Just randomly, okay, we got this match. Okay, well, why are these people fighting? I need to understand. Why are they in action? What's going on here? There should always be some type of this is why these people are fighting. That's the one thing that I've been kind of noticing that's been predominantly missing from AEW Dynamite so far. And if they can kind of fine tune that more throughout the entire roster rather than for key superstars, I think overall it would make the overall product even better, even stronger and everything. Cody was in action. He had a squash match against a guy by the name of Matt Nix that kind of looked like a skinnier Blue Meaning, just with purple hair, basically. He talked about wanting to get his hands on Jericho, MJF, and all that. He gets attacked by the Butcher and the Blade with a cameo by the Bunny. The Bunny, otherwise known as Allie. All right, so here's where I need AEW's help right here, okay? Because not everybody is going to be watching AEW Dark, and I have yet to watch AEW Dark, okay? I hear there's some really good stuff that happens on AEW Dark, but you got to understand, for me, there's only but so much freaking wrestling I can watch in a typical week, unless somebody goes out of their way to say to me, Lee, you have to watch this. This was really phenomenal. You won't be disappointed. You gotta check this out. I'm not gonna check it out. All right, unless somebody comes at me like that. So this is where I need for Jim Ross, Excalibur, Cody, and the Bucks and them. This is where I need them to start bridging the gap here, right? Now, just a couple of weeks ago, we saw Allie appear on AEW Dynamite. Nice, warm, bubbly personality. As she was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, she was talking about how she's had her opportunities on AEW Dark and that she felt she was now more than ready of handling the bigger spotlight. She felt that she was ready for Dynamite. And she gets attacked by Awesome Khan, and Brandy Rhodes is tagging along with her. Now we see this great fighting spirit from Allie, who realizes, oh man, this is a serious handicap that I'm in, but fuck it, I'm going to take this fight. If I'm going to get my ass whooped, it's not going to be laying down. So she takes the fight to Awesome Khan, gets her ass whooped and everything. Brandy cuts off a piece of Allie's hair, and we never see Allie again on Dynamite until tonight. And now Allie appears to be a heel with these other two guys that appear to be a heel because of what they did to Cody. All right, so that's great that we are establishing Okay, here's the face, here's the heel. That's great. But again, I need more consistency here. I need to understand, wait a minute. And the commentators, it's not their fault. I'm putting the blame on Cody, Khan, and them. Somebody, for storyline consistency, should have been able to go right in there and feed the line to Excalibur and Ross and say, I don't understand. We just saw Allie a couple of weeks ago. You know, what's going on here? You got Excalibur. It's the Blade. It's the Blade. And you got JR kind of like, okay, the Blade, but I don't understand the Blade. Like, the Blade, the Butcher, like, you know, like, JR's kind of like, give me the 411. Like, who are these people? And Excalibur is just, it's the Blade. It's the Butcher. It's the Bunny. And you're like, okay. Like, okay, so how did Allie become the Bunny? What's going on with this metamorphosis that's going on with her? Because we just saw her. Keep in mind, too, when we saw her on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago, she was in all white. So she was essentially a babyface. Nice, bubbly, playing up to the camera, playing up to the people, all that. So I need to understand what happened. Was this addressed on AEW Dark? Is there something? I'll put that challenge to you guys. Let's help bridge the gap here because, you know, a lot of people aren't watching Dynamite. So unless she went through some type of a weird psyche from when we saw her on Dynamite that transpired on Dark to set up where she is now, you know, we're in the dark, literally. Yeah, no pun intended for AEW The Dark reference, but we're literally in the dark here as far as what's going on there. So, you know, for me, that just really came off bad flip-flopping. It's bad enough we see this going on with Brandy Rhodes. It's like, and now we're going to apply it to Allie. Like, whatever. It is what it is. Omega defeated Pac. That, for me, was the match of the night. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Damn good matchup. Was paying attention to the referee in this one. I didn't get a chance to talk about the referee, but the referee in this one is the same referee from last week that messed up in two areas in two matches. And God, he reminds me of, there's a local weatherman that's out here in the DC area on WUSA 9. Topper, I can't think of the other name. Topper something. He's a weatherman. And this AEW referee looks just like him. Might even be like a younger brother. That's how much he looks similar to him and everything. Topper Stroud, Topper something, right? But I see this referee, I'm going, oh shit. Because remember, he fucked up twice. It was very noticeable. I gave him a pass last week because I figured my colleagues were going to be ripping him a new asshole, and they did. And I wanted to pass on that one. But I was watching him tonight just, please don't fuck up. Please don't. He did okay this week. Omega pulling in a schoolboy pin that looked as though it could have went either way. But a shocking upset there for Omega, picking up a much-needed W. Dynamite Diamond match. We had MJF defeat Adam Page, getting a little bit of help from Wardlow. That was a good match as well. I was more intrigued by Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, coming out there and presenting the Dynamite Diamond to MJF. That for me was the more interesting segment because I've always had a lot of respect for Diamond Dallas Page. It was an honor to talk to him a couple of years ago, finding out how everything was going with Jake Roberts, and I can't remember if at that point Scott Hall was in the mix as well, but I know Jake Roberts we were definitely talking about and everything. I think we may have even talked about Marty Jannetty. This was when Marty Jannetty was making headlines for like the weirdest shit, and this was way before he said some shit like, is it cool to want to bang your daughter or stepdaughter? Whatever the hell that line was he said. I don't even want to touch that. But I was more interested in that interaction. I mean, look, no shade to MJF and Adam Page. That was a good match, but it felt like a no-brainer that MJF was going to win this. And he did. But, I mean, look, it was a good match, though. It was a good match. But seeing DDP come out there for the presentation of the Dynamite Diamond, yeah, I was very intrigued by that. I knew there was going to be some type of hostile words that were going to be exchanged and all that. And there was. And to see 63-year-old DDP get in the face of MJF and then get in the face of Wardlow. Yeah, at this point, I'm actually watching this segment with my girl, and she's like, oh, hey, it's DDP. DDP's in AEW? I said, yeah, he's in AEW. Yeah, he just recently did an interview saying that he doesn't charge Cody and them anytime they need him to do something for them. He's happy to do it for them free of charge for everything that the Dream did for him and everything. He's just happy to help. And also in the same interview, he had said, look, not for nothing, but if WWE ever needs my help, I'm more than happy to help them out as well. But for what I'm doing for, and the way he kind of said it though, you're almost kind of led to the impression, look, if it's WWE, I'm charging though. Even though he didn't say it outright. And that would have been a really good follow-up question, right? Because I remember I was reading the transcript of this, and I'm going, okay, so where's the counter? Where's the counter where you go, so if WWE were to ask you for help, would you oblige? But most importantly, would you charge them as well? Or you going to give them a discount like you're doing AEW, right? That would have been interesting, but it's nice to hear how passionate he is about helping out AEW succeed and everything. And even more cooler is that this guy is 63. I mean, for a lot of us, we grew up on DDP, and he's always looked older. For the longest time, he looked as though he was in his 40s for the longest time. You could even go back maybe like freaking 5 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, the dude looks like he's in his 40s. I mean, now he looks like he's in his early 50s, but to hear that he's actually 63 and to be in the phenomenal shape that he's in, and he can still go in there and physically throw it down and everything, that is a testament to what the mind, body, and soul can ultimately do when it's all one and you're really giving it your all and everything. So I love that. It was nice seeing him throw it down there with Wardlow and MJF. We saw Matt Jackson. Remember, Matt Jackson was gone for a hot minute. We saw him back in action. Dustin Rhodes came to the scene as well. All of that was just nice little good layout. So, okay, now you kind of have like your next instant Acme feud there, so to speak, basically, right? Okay, like that. Like how all of that had panned out. We already talked about the main event match for tonight. I don't think I'm missing anything else from tonight's AEW Dynamite. I'm just kind of looking over the notes one more time real quick here before we already talk about NXT. And there was another Dark Order propaganda video infomercial. I enjoyed that. That was pretty good. That's actually starting to be my highlight. I like that more than actually seeing the team itself. I still am not invested in the team itself, but I'm liking these little infomercials that they're doing. I'll at least say that. I'm liking those. Just looking here, trying to see if there was anything else that we needed to cover here. Nah, it looks like we're pretty caught up to speed here for AEW. Okay, so NXT, fresh off of the big win at Survivor Series. And look, we all kind of figured, hey, NXT, they got this great thing that's going on the USA Network. They're essentially the new kid on the block. SmackDown got theirs on Fox. Raw is, they're trying to get back to good. But NXT is the new toy to be playing with right now. What can we do to really get as many eyes on the product as possible to try to help it overthrow AEW on a consistent basis in the ratings? And to give that nod to NXT at Survivor Series and then riding that momentum into this week's NXT. I told you guys a couple of weeks off and on, I said, look, that's great what we're seeing right now with SmackDown, Raw popping up on NXT. But let's be honest, after Survivor Series is over, we know those guys from Raw and SmackDown aren't going to be there anymore. So the real question becomes, okay, well, After you get the endorsement that you get there at Survivor Series potentially, now where do you go, right? Can you keep the consistency going? And I gotta tell you, tonight's NXT, pretty good. Tonight's NXT was pretty good. Didn't care too much for the long, drawn-out talking segment that went down between Keith Lee, Dijakovic, Matt Riddle, Tommaso Ciampa against all four members of the Undisputed Era. By the way, Adam Cole has my freaking respect tremendously. Now look, this man, I mean, my God, you want to talk about a workhorse of the year? I've got to give it to Adam freaking Cole. I got to put some respect on that name. Adam Cole, baby. I got to put some respect on that, because what the man did these past couple of weeks, what he did at TakeOver, what he did at Survivor Series, I am just looking at this guy, and when I just think about overall the body of work for 2019 from Adam Cole, he has truly been the fucking workhorse for NXT. And I wouldn't be surprised. I know we're getting ready to do our year-end awards pretty soon, and I'm definitely eyeballing him for a couple of categories. But yeah, that's the one thing that I really wish I would have commented on mostly when we were doing the Survivor Series recap, which was Adam Cole. I really didn't do a good of enough job, I personally felt, and I felt a little bummed out about that. But that man definitely, I think unanimously, he's got to have the respect of all the fans for the great quality of work he's been putting in each time he gets in there and perform. Without a shadow of doubt, he's going to be a bona fide freaking main event star whenever the time does arise where he comes up on the main roster. But thank God that he wasn't in action tonight, because for me, I didn't want to see him in action. I wanted him to rest up. I really, really did. He did a little something. And I tell you what, that little something that he did legitimately had me going, shit, I hope that dude is okay. All right, so let's set this up properly for you guys. First match of the night, you had Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish taking on Keith Lee, Dijakovic for the NXT titles. For those of you wondering who was your color commentating team for the night, your color commentating team was Beth Phoenix, Nigel McGuinness, and Tom Phillips. No Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo, we were told he was going to be there in freaking person this week. He was going to be back in action and everything, and we didn't get that. Instead, what we were told was that Mauro will be back next week, right? So, look, we said on Survivor Series, or rather Michael Cole said on Survivor Series, that the reason why Mauro Ranallo wasn't there to represent NXT at Survivor Series was because he blew his voice out at War Games, but that he'd be back next week. Now, that breezed on by me, and I'm sure that probably breezed on by everybody else as well. But then if you kind of really stop and think about it, you're kind of going, well, wait a minute. So we're saying that from late Saturday going into Sunday, and basically we're going to say Wednesday, Mauro Ranallo is going to be back. Let me tell you something. I've strained my voice a few times over the years, whether it was because I did multiple shows in a week, or, you know, cold, infection, whatever. Let me tell you something. Haven't had a voice. I know what it's like to not have a voice off and on over the years. And it usually takes a little bit more than like 3 days to, you know, be out of the woods, right? So for me, it's kind of, wait a minute. Are we sure he's going to have a quick turnaround? He's going to be okay in 3 days? Okay, whatever. You know, it is what it is, but there's no Mauro. And look, we're not going to dive into that whole Mauro Corey Graves thing. However, there is a new wrinkle of an element that's been added into the mix. Corey Graves did go on his new podcast After the Bell, and he did talk about that whole situation. And basically what his intent was with Mauro saying what he said was to play up brand conflict for Survivor Series with those tweets. That was his intent. And I want to see if I can actually pull up his direct quote here. Let me see if I can actually pull that up for you guys here. And hopefully I have it here, because when I was taking my show notes, I was like, wait a minute, let me get that in black and white here. And if I don't have it here in my notes, then I'm just going to go on ahead and I'll paraphrase. But let me see. Let me see if I got it here. Yes, here it is. So he issued an apology on the After the Bells podcast. I'm trying to see. Nope. Where's his exact words? I want his exact words. Yeah, if anybody... wait a minute. Here we go. Hang on here. I think I found it here. Nope, that ain't it either. Nope, don't got it, guys. If anybody wants to post that in the chat real quick, I'll definitely read that, but I'll have the paraphrase for now. I do remember off memory. Yeah, but he basically had said he was just trying to have there be a little bit of a rivalry and be able to play off of each other going into the Survivor Series pay-per-view with Morrow. And basically, he assumed that Morrow was gonna know what time it was and everything, and Morrow would play along essentially. But why he assumed that, I do not know. Is he telling the truth or is he bullshitting? I don't know. Just as many of you don't know. I know this much. I've pulled some ribs in my time, and I love a good rib. But usually, if I'm trying to get one over on other people and I need a little bit of help in doing so, I usually let the people know that I need help pulling a rib over somebody else. Hey, I need you to play along with me. This is the layout. This is what we're going to do. All you got to do is stick to this script and we're going to be good. Okay? So what I don't understand is, rather than... let's just say, for the sake of the argument, let's just say it's accurate that he's telling the truth, right? Let's just not look at this as, oh, he's just trying to diffuse the situation as best as he can. He's just trying to get himself out of a bad jam and still stay looking face or whatnot. Let's just take him at face value that what he is saying is the truth. Well, as soon as you get that idea that, oh man, we need to kind of have there be a little bit of trash talking going on between the brands, Corey probably picked up what some of us had picked up before Survivor Series, which was, man, we don't really hear the commentators really taking digs at each other in the other shows. What the hell? So if you're going to go in that direction, I don't know, pick up the phone, or if you don't have Morrow's phone number, find out who's got his phone number. Morrow, this is what I'm thinking. You in? Okay, you sure? Now, I'm gonna say some things. You just know that it's part of the script now. It's part of the script. You and me gotta stay on the same page. I don't want you getting butt hurt now, right? However he needs to phrase it, but phrase it. I don't know, guys. Just as you it's skeptical, right? Like you're kind of, I don't, we can't really comment any further on that. But I mean, look, he issued that apology. Morrow has yet to return to social media. If he has, I don't know anything about it, but it is what it is. So let's talk about Adam Cole. Adam Cole, I ain't forget about him. So we see O'Reilly and Fish. They did retain their NXT tag titles. However, things were hilarious outside of the ring because Adam Cole tried to do a little bit of interference in this one, and it was just enough because he kept being a factor, constantly injecting himself, trying to do his part to help out his boys and everything. And Keith Lee had just about enough of him, and at one point, the action had went over to the stage ramp area. And man, you got to see the sequence for yourself, especially in slow motion. But freaking Keith Lee did a pounce/tackle so hard to freaking Adam Cole. He sent Adam Cole flying over the barrier into the fans. It was freaking beautiful. I mean, he really crashed and burned. He was doing some HBK Shawn Michaels vintage shit from back in the day, right? And look, man, I love that Adam Cole is this freaking workhorse that he is. I really, really do. But taking the type of bumps that he's continuing to take, I mean, he's still a relatively young man, but man, I just need him to don't do so much within the span of a goddamn week. I mean, look, you could say, well, look, not for nothing, Lee, but a bunch of people did catch him. It wasn't that bad. And you say, yeah, it wasn't that bad this time, but that thing could have ended up being a lot uglier. You get what I'm saying? But that was a nice ass pounce that Keith Lee had did on Adam Cole. Keith Lee wasn't able to get back into the ring in time as O'Reilly and Fish did the numbers game on Dijakovic, and they were able to retain their tag titles that way. Later on in the night, we saw Candice LeRae take on Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai got herself disqualified because she actually had took her knee brace off and was beating the crap out of Candice LeRae with it, and was throwing her into the steel steps, grabbed the steel chair, looked like she was about to have herself a nice flat maker day there is what I was trying to say, with Candice LeRae. Rhea Ripley comes in for the rescue. Dakota Kai not wanting to have anything to do with Rhea Ripley. So we see Rhea Ripley going in this one direction with Dakota Kai, but then we see Rhea Ripley also trying to chase after the NXT Women's Champion in Shayna Baszler, as there was a square off with the two of them later on in the night and everything. So it's nice seeing Rhea Ripley, going in these different directions and everything. I'm continuing to love this new demeanor in Dakota Kai. She comes off like this unhinged girlfriend that is deeply disappointed that she got dumped or she wasn't chosen for the date or whatever, and instead it was somebody else, and she has just gone ballistic as a result. I love this unhinged Dakota Kai. I love it. She looks absolutely freaking unhinged, and not to mention she looks extremely even cuter. Man, I love it. I love it. I think we all could be in agreement of that. Yeah, she looks extra cute, man. Shane Thorne losing effort against Mansoor. Nice to see more of Mansoor on NXT. After all, last time we saw him was at Crown Jewel and everything. So I still believe in my heart of hearts that the way that WWE is going to be doing Mansoor, I made this prediction on the Crown Jewel post show, and I'm going to double down on it again and reiterate again, which is, do not be that surprised with, I know WWE had extended their contract with Saudi Arabia. I think it's now going to 2027, if I remember it right. However long the new extension is, but the way that WWE is continuing to do Mansoor, do not be surprised if they put him in a position where in the next 2 to 4 years out in Saudi Arabia, he is competing for one of the heavyweight championships, whether it is the NXT championship, whether it is the Universal, or it's the WWE championship. Do not be that surprised if in the next 2 to 4 years he's competing for one of those titles. Now, home in on that. I said competing for one of those titles. I didn't say win one of those titles. I said compete for one of those titles. I just like how they're doing him right now. He's got a great look. I love the fact that his English is extremely good. Extremely good. I love that. He's going to be able to go a long, long ways with regards to the language barriers and all that, right? The whole multicultural aspects and all that. He's great in the ring as well. I can't say anything bad about Mansoor. I can't. And I like how WWE is continuing to sparingly put him, here and here, right? And I like that I'm now at that point where when he comes out, oh, it's the Crown Jewel guy. It's that Indian dude I like. That Arabian dude. Yeah, I like him. I like that I can now recognize him. Because before it was, who's this dude? Why should I care? But with the way they've continued to smartly book this man, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. I'm wondering where exactly is his key moment in NXT going to come from? Where is his high profile match going to come from? I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe do a little something with Killian Dane, or maybe he does a little something with. I wouldn't mind seeing him throw down a little bit with one of the guys from the Forgotten Sons. Wouldn't mind seeing him do a little something with them. Who else on there? Who else on there as a maybe eventually Roderick Strong, feud with Roderick Strong there for that North American championship. That would be kind of interesting as well, right? Down the road, of course, but yeah, I can see him eventually in those programs. That would be pretty good. Lio Rush, phenomenal matchup against Tozawa. Now, what I don't know is if that was for the NXT Cruiserweight. Oh, no. What did they call that title now? Didn't it change names recently? Is it the NXT Cruiserweight Championship? I think that's what they're calling it now. Yeah. No, it's the Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah, that was a great back and forth match. Those boys went about almost 15 minutes long. I enjoyed that one. Closing moments of that one. Tozawa came in with a deadlift German for a 2 count. Rush gets his knees up on a senton attempt by Tozawa. Then hits him with the final hour. Goes back up again. Nails a second. That's pretty much how he was able to retain his Cruiserweight Championship. I enjoyed that matchup the most from NXT tonight. Looking at the rest of the card, I would have to say, other than Lio Rush and Tozawa, I would also give the nod to Finn Balor taking on Tommaso Ciampa for the very first time. Xia Li was in action. She had faced Vanessa Bourne. Squash match. I mean, it was barely a minute. Really nothing to take out of that. Nothing. We saw Marina, Sharif. Who else had popped up? Marina Sharif, Jasmine Duke, Shayna Baszler. They came in there. Basically gave her an ass kicking. And then you had Rhea Ripley come out. Cut her little promo and everything. It's kind of interesting how the three girls had parted the sea there. Once Rhea Ripley came out, it was like, nah, we don't want no part of this. This is a bad bitch. We don't want no part of her. So, and we already had told you how all of that had panned out. But let's go to that main event match there. Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa. That actually was a pretty damn good first encounter there for those boys on the NXT brand. Love that. I love that matchup. That was a good, strong closer. When you're comparing NXT's main event, okay, this is what we got. And then you're going to AEW. Okay, well, we got Jericho taking on Scorpio Sky here, right? I mean, you couldn't ask from both respected shows this week. You couldn't ask for two better main event matches, right? Now, closing moments of this one, we had saw Finn Balor. He did interfere in this matchup, and he ran up. I'm trying to think how that had played out. I think the sequence was he connected with a avalanche air raid crash for a 2 count. Tries to set up the fairy tale ending, and then Adam Cole runs out. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I got my guys mixed up there earlier. Sorry about that. So Adam Cole had ran out. Ciampa knocks him outside and gets the roll up once again on Balor for a near fall. You go from there. Balor goes to use Cole's title as a weapon, but he gets stopped. Ciampa gets the roll up, but that only gets him a 2 count. Finn comes in with a modified 1916 on the title by mistake, and that gets a 2. Cole nails Ciampa with a leaping kick behind the referee's back. 1916 finishes it all. About 12 minutes, Finn Balor coming out of there on top. Post-match is where things had really got interesting, though, because you see freaking Adam Cole coming in there, and he's celebrating and everything, and you're like, my God, what a month for freaking Adam Cole. If there's anybody that is Mr. November, I know we got Mr. October. If there's a Mr. November, Adam Cole is that man. He's like literally the fucking Shawn Michaels right now. He's doing everything. I love this dude. But you see Adam Cole, he's celebrating over the fact that Tommaso Ciampa got his ass whooped with Finn Balor. Finn Balor celebrating with him and everything. But then Finn Balor attacks Adam Cole, lays him out. So it's obvious what Finn Balor is all about right now. He is all about being the top dog there in NXT. And NXT pretty much going off the air like that. So, I mean, look, it looks as though the way all the signs are pointing right now, we're basically going to get a triple threat dance there for that NXT championship. Oh, I'm loving that. I'm so down with that. Bring it. That's going to be a classic one. My only thing is it going to play out before this year is out so that we can maybe give that a nod as well for match of the year candidates when we go back and we look at everything NXT related, right? From that respective brand. Only time is going to tell, or, you know, at this point is maybe, I don't know, Royal Rumble weekend is maybe that's when all of that is going to go down. Going to have to wait and see how that plays out. See, other than that, I got a couple of headlines I want to get into. In case you guys don't know by now, we talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. There is 10 days left to help out ODB. ODB is trying to do everything she can to get back and running with her truck, her food truck. You guys know there was a bad fire that went down earlier this year. Her food truck got caught up in there, and you know, she's been trying to do her part to rebuild and get back out there again. Now there's 10 days left, and their goal is to hit $50,000 to date, with myself included. I did back that up as well. I did back it up. Anybody want to see proof? You can hit me up on social media. I'll gladly share with you the screenshot or video of it. And to date, they have $30,499. Again, $30,499 from 222 backers. So 10 days left. And look, the best part about this, even if they don't hit that goal, ODB will still receive those funds. So don't think, well, she's not gonna, why should I? You know, if you have $5, $10 to spare to ODB, help get her food truck up and running again, definitely donate, and thank you in advance. Now, if you're in a position right now where you cannot donate, at least share the link with your friends, your family, all throughout social media. I'm sure that definitely will help as well. And for those of you that maybe want to check out that link for yourself, I'll actually have that be available in the episode description of this episode. I'm actually looking in the chat right now via YouTube, and I'm actually posting that right now for you guys so you can go check it out. It's now live for you guys in the webcast. And for those of you listening to the show in Discord, I'll actually post that in the Discord as well. Right now, give me a second here, and I'll post that in the Discord as well. And there we go. Got that live in the Discord as well. So check that out. And not for nothing, but you get all kinds of cool little perks for however much you're able to contribute. So it's not like you're donating and you're not getting anything. I mean, I know in this day and age, some people kind of want to feel like, well, what am I getting? I want a little bit of something, you know, if I'm going to be coming out of my pocket. So, you know, you do get a little something. So, and you look, even if you're not a fan of ODB, maybe you know somebody that's a fan of ODB and they've yet to add some of this cool stuff that she's making available as a result of those that donate. You know, it wouldn't hurt to, you know, check it out, right? In case you guys had missed it, a couple of days ago, 2K had put out a new patch for WWE 2K20. In general, it addresses crashes throughout the game. It also addresses reported opacity issue causing invisible creative superstar parts. addresses a reported crash in custom arenas using imported images. There's been improvement to Sweat. It also addresses the reported input settings not saving. This is for PC members only. Also does some updates for the characters, universe mode, gameplay, and online mode. If you want to look up more information, just go check out the 2K website. For those of you that maybe have not played 2K in a good minute and you're kind of wondering what's going on with these updates, can really use a serious update. This was a second update that had came out. This is the second update that has come out since the game initially came out back in October. Also, sticking to some more headlines for you guys here. Also, you had the... Hang on a second here. I'm looking at a message here. And I'll have to respond to that message later here. Got some MLW news for you guys. MLW has revealed the details for their Fusion Thanksgiving special. In case you guys had missed this, I'm a big fan of MLW Fusion. So they've announced the lineup for this week's Thanksgiving special. You guys will be able to check it out on the YouTube channel Thanksgiving night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And the press release for this one, I can read it to you kind of. It's rather brief. So the American tradition returns. MLW invites fans and their families to join us for their Thanksgiving dinner at 6 p.m. Eastern on MLW's YouTube channel for the first ever Fusion on Thanksgiving special. For the first time in over 30 years, Von Erich will challenge for a world championship in the main event on this historic broadcast. Replacing his brother, Marshall, who is injured under suspicious circumstances, Ross Von Erich looks to bring the World Heavyweight Championship back to the Von Erich Ranch. Standing in his way is a 300-pound undefeated Samoan smashing machine in the reigning World Heavyweight Champion, Jacob Fatu. So that is... I'm looking forward to that one. So that should be a really, really good episode. That's been one of my guilty pleasures of checking out when I get a free moment. Also, a verdict has been reached in the case of fans being scammed to pay money for Jerry Lawler artwork. This was something that we were following several months ago, and we were talking about it with you guys. Okay, so for those of you that haven't been paying attention to this, just to kind of get you guys caught up to speed a little bit, there was, Jerry Lawler had, what was the name of his original podcast, Dinner with the King? And I can't think of the name of the guy that used to be his co-host on there. And I'm actually kind of glad that I no longer remember his name because he's a piece of shit anyway. But basically, Glenn Moore. And it came to me just like that. Glenn Moore is his name. All right, so here's what happened. Glenn was going essentially behind Jerry Lawler's back, and he was taking up commissions. So pretend that I'm friends. Let's say I'm Glenn, and let's say I do the show with Jerry Lawler, right? I don't know why I said JR, but whatever. I get the two mixed up. Yeah, I know. It's a white thing. I don't know. Anyway, let's be serious here. So let's say I put out a tweet or whatever. Hey, anybody that's interested in some original commissioned art pieces from Jerry Lawler, hit me up. I'll hook you up. No problem. And then you get people that, oh, yeah, I'm interested. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, give me X amount of money. Blah, blah, blah. And then the money never goes to Jerry Lawler. The communication of, hey, Jerry, I got X amount of money from this person because this person, they want you to do blah, blah, blah. There were so many people. I remember when it had first broke out, and I'm just looking at all of these horrific stories that people were sharing on social media about, yeah, I paid $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $1,000. And it's been months now, and I still haven't received my work that I had paid for. What the hell is going on here, right? And as a result of all of that shit that went down, Jerry Lawler, he hauled ass. He severed all ties with Glenn. He was shocked. He was shocked that this guy was even capable of conducting himself like this. And Jerry Lawler did try to defend Glenn just a little bit, but not to the point that Glenn's actions were justified. He basically said, hey, you know, not for nothing, but Glenn had came down on some hard times. He had, you know, lost his job. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know that it was, you know, bad to the point that he did what he did. And so, yeah, that's where everything was. And you had a lot of people that were talking about, man, I'm going to fucking sue. Fuck this shit. You know, this is totally uncool and all that. So it looks like a verdict was reached with regards to this. Bodyslam.net, they're reporting that a verdict was reached in a Tennessee court in a case of a fan, Jason Laurie, accusing WWE Hall of Famer Jerry Lawler and Glenn Moore, who ran the Twitter account for Lawler's Dinner with the King podcast. The issue stemmed from Moore allegedly accepting commissions of fan art for the Dinner with the King podcast. Laurie has sued both Moore and Lawler, and after apparently paying for a piece of art that he never received, an image of the court verdict from the judge. I can actually put that in the chat room for you guys here, but it looks like ultimately the court ruled that Moore was not acting as an employee or agent of Lawler, but as a facilitator. Moore reportedly stated that Lawler had agreed to the painting, and Moore and Lawler discussed Lawler doing the painting on the podcast. However, it never materialized. Now check this out. Since the state law does not address the status of a facilitator, the plaintiff failed to sustain a burden of proof. As a result, the verdict was ruled in favor of the defendant, Lawler. Laurie had prepaid for the painting through PayPal and wanted to recoup his losses and filed the lawsuit. As a result, Moore could not be found or served after he went off the grid. Additionally, Moore reportedly has outstanding warrants as of this week. Lawler was the one who was served with the lawsuit. Later, there was said to have been a conversation between the two parties to have a lunch meeting to work out a compromise, but Lawler later canceled the appointment. Only Lawler appeared in court since co-defendant Glenn Moore was never found and served. The legal team for Laurie stated that Lawler's legal team advised him to settle for $1,500, but Lawler refused and wanted to see what the judge would rule. Now, Jason Laurie later released the following statement on this week's verdict, saying, here's the crux of the case. According to me, Glenn acted as an agent for the mysterious boxes, the sketches, and the oil. For the judge to rule that he wasn't an agent but a facilitator is just horseshit. Legally, he met every condition for being an agent. The fact that there is no state law concerning a facilitator, well, that's because they are called agents, not facilitators. Now, Jerry Lawler did release a statement with regards to that verdict. I want to actually play that for you guys right now. We got audio available, so let's load this up for you guys here. There we go.
Through some bad circumstances, he apparently lost his job, and after that, he got into a desperate situation where he started taking advantage of some of my fans by purporting to sell them artwork, memorabilia, and stuff that he had no authority to sell, and he didn't have any way to get it to the people. He promised them and took money for these objects and these different things. Of course, I never got the money. I didn't even know he was doing this, and so, that's what happened here today. I don't have any ill will towards Mr. Lurie. He's a victim, but I was a victim as well, and even more of a victim than Mr. Lurie, because I'm all of a sudden, I guess you said bad publicity. A lot of people looked at me as that I knew all about this, and I had no knowledge of it whatsoever. So, I've I've worked with some other victims and got theirs straightened out, and we were trying to get it straightened out with Mr. Lurie. Even offered him to do the painting that he originally agreed to pay $3,000 for, but he just wants money now.
Very unfortunate. Very, very. Very unfortunate. Look, this type of practice, it's common. It is very, very common. Now, if you ask me straight up, Lee, do you really think Jerry Lawler is just jive talking? He's a lying piece of shit. Jerry Lawler, you've seen his artwork from over the years, right? This is a man, if he wanted to be doing something for Marvel, DC Comics on a consistent basis and be paid handsomely, he would be like, okay. But between his wrestling library, this is a man, like, when it's all said and done, we've never heard of Jerry Lawler. Oh man, he filed for bankruptcy. Oh, Jerry Lawler, he's hurting for cash. We've never heard of anything like that with Jerry Lawler. And when you look at his DVD, It's Good to Be the King, I mean, he is living, honestly, a very, very good life, a damn good life. So he is at that point where what all he's been doing before his son died, and what he continues to do, is stay involved in the business, help out where he can, appear at conventions and all this other stuff. And I can tell you, because me and my girl, we actually saw Jerry Lawler at AwesomeCon. We got the infamous picture of the three of us, a couple of pictures that we had took together. There was some nice side talk in between the pictures and everything. And he just came off as a very nice, warm, sweet man. You did not get the vibe whatsoever that he's a piece of shit that, like, you gotta watch your wallet around him or anything like that. And anybody that knows about Jerry Lawler, when he does do some of these conventions, he's selling his original artwork, right? And I don't know if it's at the point where the type of artwork he's selling, like if he's doing like on the spot sketches or whatever, but he is selling original artwork. And I remember there was some really cool ass drawing that he did of AJ Styles that he signed and everything. And my girl was like, "Oh, honey, look at this, look at this." And I was like, "Oh, don't tempt me," because we had already spent all of our money. I think it was that year that we had saw Stan Lee, right? And who would have thought that was going to be like one of the last times, but that was going to be my first time actually meeting Stan Lee and saying, "Hey, thank you for, all the great years of, giving me all of these great, cool characters and, all that." But I looked at that artwork of his and I was like, wow, like this guy is something else. I mean, he is something else. All right. So, I mean, look, if he tried to make it right and this person just wants to be all about the money or whatever, I mean, that's their right and everything. But it's just bad. This is just bad all the way fucking round. I believe Jerry Lawler because, look, at the end of the day, if Jerry really meant, man, fuck this, fuck this shit, then he would have pulled a Glenn Moore as well and been like, I'm not showing up to that fucking shit. Why do I need to show up to that shit? For me, only if you have some type of a guilty conscience do you hide from the law, right? Jerry Lawler showed up, he represented. Now, some people could counter that and say, nah, man, he's connected to the WWE right down to the point. Look, he's back on color commentating again. He doesn't freaking need this type of attention. Nah, I think Lawler is standing his ground. He's trying to do his best to prove his innocence and everything like that. And the court had ruled in his favor and everything. And to this person that doesn't like the fact that the verdict went out the way that it had went out, I'm like this. If Lawler and his lawyer, which I would like to believe it is documented somewhere, whether it's audio or whatever, or at least try to get it documented if you haven't already got it documented already. If you try to reach out to this person and say, hey, we would want to do our best to work with you here. We want to try to find some type of a peaceful resolution. We're sorry that you went through what you went through, but hey, Mr. Lawler is willing to do the commission piece for you. What do you say? You know, if that at that point, if the person is willing to make it right and everything, then at that point, you got to make sure that you get something binding, right? That's your right. That is your right. Okay, you're selling that you're willing to now complete this work for me. Okay, well, realistically, with all of the materials that you have in your possession, and when you can begin to start on this commission to when it will be done, how much do you estimate? Okay, so you think it's going to be done by this date. Okay, well, if it's not done by this date, then will you refund me X amount of money? And you could have that party, their lawyer, sit down with Jerry. And so it does kind of come off a bit, you know what I'm saying? It comes off a bit weird that, okay, Lawler said he was willing to do it, and not for nothing, he has worked with other people to try to resolve their issues. And, you know, everything's been okay, but this is the one person that's kind of being a bit difficult. Yeah, I think Jerry is in the clear in this one, and I can't stress this enough, and I'm going on and on about this for a particular reason, which is a lot of people get caught up in this type of game. A lot of people get caught up in the whole, oh man, I want to support my favorite wrestler. Okay, I want to buy their merch, or I want to buy this and I want to buy that. Always make sure that when a wrestler is selling some type of merchandise or they are selling some type of original artwork, always make sure that you are dealing with them directly. I can't stress that enough. And sadly, when it comes to shit like PayPal and you're sending money somebody's way, it can be a bit tricky sometimes getting a refund if you haven't received the goods. It can be a little tricky. You got to go through a whole bunch of loopholes just to prove that, nah, services that was supposed to be rendered to me, I didn't get them. You know, give me back my money. You know what's going on here. So it could be a little tricky because sometimes in a case like PayPal, it's not instantly bam. I remember I had a situation, I think it was last month, and I remember I had paid like about $200 for something, and I didn't get it. I sent the payment via PayPal, and I didn't get it. It had something to do with software. I think it was some type of a software application I was trying to get. And I never did get all the stuff needed for the software, including my key, so that I could totally unlock the full version of the software and everything. And I remember I got in contact with PayPal and I said, hey, look, you know, I was promised these services. I was told I was going to get this and I didn't get it. And it took them a minute, you know, but I had to stay on top of them, had to stay on top, you know, every other day, sending messages and all that. Finally, they went on ahead, gave me back my money. They were like, it's possible that this merchant might try to charge you again. If they do try to charge you again, then, you know, you got to just, you know, let us know. But at that point, probably better if you talk directly to the merchant to try to find a peaceful resolution. So I can't stress it enough because this is a common practice. You know, there are people all the time that are selling bootleg shit, that are going behind other people's back shit. I remember one time, I know I told this story before, but I remember some years back, there was this girl that hit me up and she was telling me how she knows all of these pro wrestlers. And I'm going, oh, okay, cool. And she's stroking me off and going, oh, yeah, you know, I like your show. You know, it's pretty cool. And yeah, you know, I think if you had these guests on your show, it could help your show out even more. And not to mention some of these guys, they kind of need the exposure anyway. And I was like, okay, well, I hear you. Okay, well, look, you know, if you can set some stuff up and you could definitely, you know, give me some interviews, I definitely wouldn't mind talking to some of these people. And one of the people that she had mentioned was Buff Bagwell. There was a lot other established, well-known names as well, but the Buff Bagwell stood out the most, and here's why. So she goes, yeah, so I was thinking for, maybe your first guest, from my clientele, we hook you up with Buff Bagwell. I go, okay, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't particularly care for Buff Bagwell. I never was a fan of Buff Bagwell. Didn't particularly care for his career. But I'm starting off in the podcasting game. And I think at this point, I probably had like about 2 years under my belt. I go, yeah, okay, sure. But really, I'm going, I don't give a fuck about Buff Bagwell. Give me somebody else, right? I'm just going, okay, stepping stone, whatever. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Yeah, after we set you up with Buff Bagwell, then we'll have you interview this person. And then she starts interjecting herself into the mix for being interviewed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is kind of a new wrinkle. What the hell is, okay. And so I say to her, okay, so are you a wrestler, or did you used to wrestle? Yeah, I used to wrestle. Okay, how long ago was it that you wrestled? Oh, I haven't wrestled in about almost 10 years. And I'm going, and you want to come on my show, and what exactly are we supposed to talk about on the show? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say that to her. I'm literally thinking to myself, okay, you used to wrestle. You haven't wrestled in 10 years. How am I supposed to sell that to the listeners? Exactly. Like, seriously, how am I supposed to sell that? And I'm like, okay, so, well, do you at least have videos of some of the matches that you were in? Photos of you when you were in the ring? And she gives me this long, drawn out story. And in a nutshell, the wrestling promotion that she worked for, they refused to give her photos. They refused to give her any video content that had featured her working for them. So that's kind of like the first red flag. I told my girl about this, and she's like, yeah, be kind of careful around her. She sounds kind of leery. I'm like, yeah, it does. And so then, I say to her, I say, well, we'll worry about interviewing you a little bit, later down the road and everything. But let's first do the Buff Bagwell, and, let's get through these other couple of names as well. And, then we can go ahead and bring you on board. And as the weeks had progressed, she was kind of getting a little bit more pushy and pushier to basically be on the show before these people, which is like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm looking up her Facebook profile that she shared with me. I'm looking up her Facebook profile. I'm looking up her Twitter, and there is nothing, guys. I bullshit you not. There is nothing about wrestling whatsoever. It is just a mom and kids and, hokey dokey. There's nothing wrestling related. Not even, oh man, how about that Monday Night Raw? Now look, you usually will get people that, even if they aren't a wrestler anymore, right? Okay, well, if you're still at least following the wrestling product, you're probably going to be tweeting, you're going to be Facebooking. There wasn't even that, right? So the way the story wraps up is finally she goes, okay, so Buff Bagwell, he said he could do the show, but he said he could also do one better. And anytime you decide you want to have some type of a special event or whatnot, he can even, come by and do your show as well. You just got to pay for his hotel stay, and you've got to give him, God, I can't remember what the amount was, maybe like $1,000 or something like that. And I'm going, okay. I say, well, we don't need Buff right now for anything. I don't plan on doing anything like a convention or, be at some type of a wrestling event and interviewing him there. I don't plan on doing anything like that. The type of interview I have in mind. This was back when we were still doing the hotline days. Yeah, we actually used to do a hotline. We would call into a show in the early days, and we would do the show that way with a phone. And the good old days. And it's like, no, only thing he needs to do is just pick up a phone, and he just needs to call in, and we can pretty much take it from there. So I guess that got her gears in motion, and next thing you know, she's like, "Okay, well, just give me." Well, she didn't say give me. She said, "Well, Buff said, just give him, $700." And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And so finally, I looked up, and at this point, Buff was on Twitter. Hang on, let me think. I don't think Buff had Twitter. If Buff had Twitter, I can't confirm because it's been so long. But if Buff didn't have Twitter, I know I found him through IMDb. Because normally when you sign up for IMDb Pro, certain information for certain celebrities is released to you. So basically, I was able to get in contact with his publicist, and I told them who I was and everything. And I said, look, this is the situation. Here's what's going on. Are you guys connected to this woman in any type of way? Is she authorized to do business on behalf of Buff Bagwell? And the person I ended up hearing from, who I thought was the publicist, well, essentially it was the publicist, but at that point, it was also his wife. Now, I don't know if they're still together, but it was his wife. And she identified herself to me and told me who she was. And she said, yeah, look, I appreciate you, bringing us all this. No, that woman you've been talking to has no association with Buff, his booking, his handlings whatsoever. To our knowledge, she is a fan, and we've met her a couple of times, but that's about as far as it goes. Yeah, we don't have anything to do with her. I'm like, okay. And so I was like, that's all I needed. Thank you. And so I bust that chick's ass out. I bust her ass out. And so when I say you got to be very careful, if it sounds too good to be fucking true, you really need to make sure that you are dealing directly with the people that you are supposed to be dealing with when it comes to some type of a transaction where money is coming out of your pocket. Many times you hear we have sponsors that we promote on the show, right? And one thing I'm always leery about, because it's the number one thing I'll get emails about. Oh, can you promote my GoFundMe? Can you promote my Kickstarter? Can you promote this? Can you promote that? And I have gotten into heated exchanges with some potential clients that did not respect my stance of, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to promote a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter in which I'm not really sure, and I can't say for certainty that the money is going to be going towards where it needs to be going to. Now, why do I say that? Because most of these people that have these GoFundMes and these Kickstarters, I lost my job, or, I can't pay my rent, or, hospital bills, or something like that. And it's like, I'm a little bit leery with that shit. Now, in the case of somebody like ODB, you go on ODB's actual Twitter profile, and she's got the blue check mark and all that. She is officially has been promoting that that link, that donation link there. What was it? Was it Indiegogo? I can't remember the link now, but she's been officially promoting that on her official social media accounts, right? So I usually try to look for, okay, if I'm going to be promoting something, I need to know without a shadow of doubt that everything connects to, and that's exactly where it's going to be going, right? So be very leery. That's all I have to say. And it's your right. It's your right to say, hey, what kind of proof can I get that, this is going to be coming to me? What do you have? I'm almost reminded of a couple of years ago, and you guys will probably remember this, but there was somebody, two of them come into mind right now. There was somebody that was unauthorized that was selling Andre the Giant merchandise. And also there was somebody that was selling, if I remember it right, there was somebody that was selling I want to say maybe it was Vader. I want to say maybe it was Vader merchandise that somebody was selling. And I remember, shit had hit the fan with that. I'm hoping I'm remembering Vader right. You guys will probably remember what I'm talking about. It felt like something that had went down in the past 2, maybe 3 years, give or take. Yeah, like 2, maybe 3 years, give or take. Hey, Ric Flair is going to be at WWE Starrcade this coming Sunday. For those of you that maybe are going to be around the television and you're fiending for some wrestling, you can't get enough. We gave the updated card for that already. Also, after the announcement of the world title match as the main event for NWA Into the Fire, the entire pay-per-view card has now been revealed. And remember, Into the Fire by NWA is going to be happening December 14th. It's going to air live on Fight TV from Atlanta, Georgia. Check this out. Trevor Murdoch takes on the Question Mark. Colt Cabana will defend the NWA National Heavyweight title. Ken Anderson will take on Eli Drake. Ashley Vox and Allison Kay versus a combination of Melina, Thunder Rosa, and Marty Bell. And your main event match, the NWA World Title. Nick Aldis defends it against the Cowboy, James Storm, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I'm actually going to go out of my way to check that one out. I'm definitely going to check that one out. Also, NXT has announced some new dates, including TV tapings. This is according to PW Insider. They announced the TV dates for Full Sail for January 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, and February 5th. Also, it looks like the 8th and the 15th are sold out. Tickets for the 22nd and the 29th go on sale December 6th. Tickets for the February 5th show will go on sale December the 13th. And in a change for next year in sections 101 and 105, seat 1 will be on the ramp. And NXT also announced they'll be returning to the Buffalo, New York area at the Buffalo River Works on January the 12th. If you want some more ticket info, make sure you head on over to the WWE website and you'll be able to find tickets that way. So check that out when you get a chance. And other than that, I'm just seeing if there's anything else I want to get into before we get ready to wrap it up, because we're going to be on a nice little break after this. And I don't think there is... Oh yeah, real quick, House of Hardcore results from Philadelphia. I want to share this with you guys real quick here. They did this at the 2300 Arena at Philadelphia over the weekend. Crazy Steve had defeated Clayton Gaines with the double depress. Johnny Swinger defeated Mike Jackson, the former NWA Alabama Junior Heavyweight Champion, making his ECW Arena debut. Billy Gunn defeated Wrecking Ball Legursky. Impact Wrestling X Division Champion Ace Austin defeated Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Falabala. Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray took on Sonny Kiss and Orange Cassidy. That match went into a no contest when Alex Reynolds, Wrecking Ball, Clayton Gaines, and Chris Mojo hit the ring and attacked everybody. Private Party defeated Best Friends. Stan Hansen and Maso Chano, his debut in the venue, each made appearances and cut promos. Also, MLW champion Jacob Fatu defeated the HOH TV champ Willie Mack in a non-title bout. I would actually love to see that freaking matchup. And HOH is going to be returning to the Wisconsin area on December 7th with Tommy Dreamer, The Godfather, Rikishi, Al Snow, Harry Smith, Sean Spears, Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, ODB, Melina, Angelina Love, Swaggle, Dave Hero, and the double Dupress has also been announced. So that should be pretty good. Dave Hero, I wonder if that's David Hero from back in the podcasting days there. I wonder if that's the Dave Hero I'm thinking about, or if that's a different hero. There's only one hero I can think of. If that's not him, I don't know who that is. All right, so other than that, guys, that is pretty much going to do it. We're going to stick a fork in it. We're going to call this DONE done. Hey, before we get ready to wrap it up, I do want to give a nice, good shout out to some of our sponsors and our Patreon members. Love these guys tremendously. Let me give a shout out to our Patreon members first. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio, video content, exclusive shows you won't be able to find anywhere else. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Get yourself ad-free episodes of the RCWR shows as well for those of you listening on demand and on the downloads, and you can't stand some of those ads we put in there sometimes. But shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Shout out to John Krauser. Also shout out to Sean Kenter, Justin Ripstock, Freddie, shout out to you. Joe Raymond Jr., Michael Wolf, Tony Bing Gaming. Check him out. He's got a great YouTube channel covering all things Marvel video games. He's got a Patreon wall as well. Check him out. Did I mention John Davis? If I didn't mention John Davis. Usually I have a running gag where I like saying his name twice. So, but shout out to our Patreon members. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody in there. I'm going off of memory here tonight. I don't feel like looking at the list because I feel like I'm at that point now. Test the memory a bit. I believe I got all the names, but if I didn't, you know who you are. I love you. Also, shout out to some of our sponsors for this edition of the RCWR show. Definitely want to take the time out to recognize them. It's always awesome hooking up with some sponsors. Shout out to my good friends behind the movie President Evil. Just days before the November midterm elections, 3 girls are stalked by a deranged killer dressed as the President of the United States. Check out the movie. You can see the trailer online. Buy the movie afterwards. Amazon.com. Check it out that way. Also, shout out to 52 Reasons to Live, Why Greatness Refuses to Die by Jesse Martinez. This book is a weekly dose of encouragement. If you are feeling sad, stressed, anxious, overwhelmed by certain issues in life, this book is full of encouragement for you or a friend that's currently dealing with some difficult times right now, especially during this holiday season. Does its best, this book, to keep you in the most positive attitude as possible amongst all the craziness and chaos that's going on in your life. Check it out on Amazon.com or go to the website aspireandreachformore.com to see that book and other books. Also, leafyassets.com. If you're a real estate investor or entrepreneur, they can help protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Check them out, leafyassets.com. Also, I want to give a shout out to one cool sponsor. They were like, Lee, whatever you're doing, promote it again because, man, it's helping us out. All right, so you dog lovers out there, listen up. Whether you're a dog lover or you know somebody that's a dog lover, I'm giving away something free to our listeners through a unique URL. Go check out petfoodio.com/RCWR show. Again, that's petfoodio. You spell that PETFOODIO.com. petfoodio.com/RCWR show. You get a free doggy dessert cookbook. It gives you 10 recipes, easy to follow instructions, and photos, right? And it's free. And these are treats that you can make in the privacy of your own home. Guaranteed that your pets will love, and they will love you for making those yummy treats for them. We all know, us dog lovers, we know how much our dogs love those treats. That is that great time of the day or the night. It's that bonding moment where you guys just connect on so many levels and all that. Lord knows, I love giving my dog, is a sweetheart. She's a mixed with a Pekingese. I love hooking her up with those treats because that's our favorite time of the year. I've already got my own cookbook as we speak. I actually downloaded that cookbook myself, and there's some stuff I'm going to be making for her this Christmas holiday season. So again, it's not every day we're able to give away free stuff. So if you're not a dog owner, you know somebody that's a dog owner, pass along that link to them. petfoodio.com/RCWR show. Check that out. And other than that, I think that is everybody for our sponsors. So, all right, quick programming note. And for those of you that's wondering where the link is for that Pet Foodio, I've actually got that going live now. For those of you checking out the webcast version, that's live in the chat now. And those of you that's going to be downloading the show, it's in the episode description. All right, so programming notes. That's it with the Thanksgiving holiday, as it's officially Thanksgiving here on the East Coast. So happy Thanksgiving to you all on the East Coast. We are on hiatus until next Monday. So basically, we will not be back with you guys until December 2nd. Is it right? Yep, I'm reading that right. We will not be back live with you all until December 2nd. So no show this coming Friday. Wild did their season finale. Those of you wondering what's going on with the next Painting with Lee series, I'm chilling. I am chilling. I will probably do some painting. I just won't be streaming it. I know some of you guys, oh man, but we want to step by step. It's like, nah, I'm gonna be chilling. I don't want to have anything to do with a show. I don't want to be doing nothing show related wise. I'm gonna be kicking back, relaxing, enjoying time with the family, recharging the batteries, because we have been doing shows left and right with Wild Women of Wrestling thrown into the mix, and it's a well-deserved little mini break that we're taking. So, but I will continue to be talking a good hot mess on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So use the keywords the RCWR show. Get at me that way. Check out the Discord as well. Join our growing community over there. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you may have missed on demand and on the downloads. Shout out to those of you that were taking the time out during your Thanksgiving Eve / Thanksgiving holiday to interact with me live during the broadcast. And a special shout out to those of you that's going to be checking out this episode on demand and on the downloads. And hey, from my family to yours, have a very good, safe, and happy Thanksgiving. And if you're going out there on Black Friday, make sure you have a lot of time and a lot of patience, but also go that extra mile and thank the people that's going to be serving you, be it this Thanksgiving, if you're going out to eat or shop, or the Friday after Thanksgiving. Yeah, I know everybody likes to go for the deals and all that. Make sure you're showing those people working in retail a lot of extra love, because for a lot of those people, they are being forced to work on that holiday and not be able to, really necessarily spend time with their loved ones. Hell, some people on Thanksgiving, have to unfortunately work. And, kindness, spread it around. It goes a long way. So be safe and be kind to everybody. Or as I like to always say when I close out the shows, until I hear from you guys next go around, be safe and be kind to each other. Be kind to one another. Much love, guys. Take care.